In the quiet hours before dawn on the crystalline world of Virelia, Luna stood at the edge of the sky garden, her bare feet resting on warm quartz tiles that pulsed gently with the planet's heartbeat. The twin suns had not yet risen, but the horizon glowed with soft violet and amber light, painting the floating islands in dreamlike hues. Around her, wind chimes made of frozen starlight tinkled softly and the air smelled of moon blossoms and ozone. She was not supposed to be here. The sky garden was reserved for the royal bloodline during official ceremonies, not for midnight wanderings. But Luna had never cared much for rules, especially not the ones that kept her from the stars. Behind her, two sleek shapes stirred in the shadows. Zeph stretched his long neck, wings unfolding like liquid shadow, while Naira curled tighter around the base of a glowing crystal tree, her scales shifting from deep indigo to a soft lavender. They were her dragons, not pets, not weapons, but companions. Bonded to her since she was a child, they understood her better than anyone in the palace ever could. Luna turned and smiled at them. "Ready?" Zeph let out a low, melodic hum. Naira blinked slowly, her golden eyes gleaming with approval. They took off just as the first sun peeked over the horizon. Luna rode on Zeph's back, her fingers tangled in the ridges along his spine, her silver hair streaming behind her like comet dust. Naira flew just beneath them, weaving through the floating arches of the upper city, her movements silent and precise. Together, they soared past the great crystal spires, over rivers of liquid light, and into the wild outer rings of Virelia, places most Virelians never visited, let alone explored. It was there, in the whispering dunes beyond the last observatory, that Luna felt it. A tremor in the air, a wrongness in the song of the stars. Zeph banked sharply, his wings slicing through the thin atmosphere. Naira dropped lower, her tail twitching. Luna's heart pounded. Something had fallen from the sky. They found the wreckage half buried in the sand, a small scorched pod, its surface cracked and smoking. It was not Virelian. It was not from any known system in the galactic register, and yet it breathed. Luna slid off Zeph's back and approached slowly. The dragons stayed close, their bodies tense, their minds sending waves of caution through the bond they shared with her. She placed a hand on the pod's hull. It was warm, alive. With a hiss of escaping gas, the pod split open. Inside lay a human. He was unconscious, his face smudged with soot, his breathing shallow. His clothes were torn, his arms bruised. But he was alive. Luna had only seen humans in the forbidden archives, grainy images from ancient Earth broadcasts, stories of a species that burned through its own world in centuries, not millennia. Fragile, reckless, brilliant. She should have reported him. Virelian law was clear. Outsiders were not to be trusted. They carried chaos in their blood, disease in their breath, war in their hearts. But as she looked at his face, so young, so lost, something in her chest tightened. "We're taking him with us," she said. Zeph snorted, smoke curling from his nostrils. Naira let out a low growl. "I know," Luna whispered, "but he didn't choose to fall here, and if we leave him, he'll die." She lifted him carefully, surprised by how light he felt. Humans were so small, so breakable. Yet they had reached the stars. That alone deserved respect. Back in the palace, Luna moved like a ghost. The corridors were empty this early, the servants still asleep in their chambers beneath the lower gardens. She carried the human through secret passages known only to the royal children. Narrow tunnels lined with memory crystals that hummed with forgotten lullabies. Finally, she reached her sanctuary. A hidden grotto beneath the east wing, accessible only through a waterfall of liquid light. The grotto was her world within a world. Shelves lined with star charts, shelves of Earth relics smuggled from the archives, walls covered in sketches of galaxies she'd never seen. In the center, a pool of healing water glowed faintly blue. She laid the human on a soft mat of woven moss and began to tend to his wounds. She cleaned his cuts with dew from moon petals, wrapped his ribs with bandages infused with calm root, and placed a cooling stone on his forehead. Naira curled around, him like a living blanket, her body radiating a soothing warmth. Zeph stood guard at the entrance, his eyes scanning the corridor beyond. For 3 days he did not wake. On the 4th morning, as the second sun cast long shadows through the waterfall, his fingers twitched. Luna was by his side in an instant. His eyes opened. Brown, confused, filled with pain and wonder. He tried to speak, but his throat was dry. She offered him water from a carved crystal cup. He drank greedily, then coughed. "Where am I?" he rasped. "Virelia," she said softly. "You're safe." He stared at her. Her silver skin, her pointed ears, the faint glow in her golden eyes. Then his gaze shifted to the dragons. Zeph stepped forward, head lowered, not threatening, but curious. Nira lifted her head and let out a soft chirr. "Dragons?" he whispered. "Aliens? Am I dead?" Luna almost laughed. "No, you are very much alive, and very far from home." He sat up slowly, wincing. "My name is Leo Martinez. I was on the Odyssey, a deep space scout ship. We hit some kind of anomaly near Neptune. Next thing I knew, everything went white. Then, fire. You crossed dimensions," Luna said. "Virelia exists outside your known universe. Few ever find us. Fewer survive the journey." Leo looked around the grotto, his eyes wide. "This place, it's beautiful," she smiled. "Thank you." Over the next week, Leo healed. He learned to walk again, to eat Virelian food. Sweet root cakes, glowing berries, nectar from sky vines. He asked endless questions about the dragons, about the twin suns, about why Virelians never visited other worlds. "We believe in balance," Luna explained one evening as they sat by the pool. "To interfere is to disrupt. To explore is to risk corruption. So we watch. We listen, but we do not touch." "That sounds lonely," Leo said. Luna was silent for a long time. Maybe it is. As days passed, something shifted between them. Leo taught her earth songs, simple melodies about love and loss and home. She taught him how to read the star runes, how to listen to the wind for warnings, how to speak without words. Zeph and Nira grew fond of him, especially when he started scratching Zeph behind the horns or sharing his food with Nira. But peace never lasts. Queen Selene had always been suspicious of her daughter's wanderings. When reports came in of strange energy readings near the Whispering Dunes and then of a human scent lingering in the palace air, her patience snapped. One night, as Luna and Leo sat beneath the crystal trees, sketching constellations in the sand, the grotto entrance flared with blinding light. Queen Selene stood there, flanked by 4 royal sentinels, their armor humming with containment fields. Her silver robes shimmered with cold fury. "So," she said, her voice sharp as shattered glass, "my daughter harbors vermin in her den." Luna rose to her feet, placing herself between her mother and Leo. "He is not vermin. He is a guest." "A guest?" Selene laughed, a sound without warmth. "He is a contamination, a breach of sacred law. You have endangered our entire world with your childish curiosity." "He's alone," Luna said. "Lost. He means no harm." "All humans mean harm," Selena snapped. "They consume. They destroy. They do not understand balance. You read the archives. You know what they did to their own planet." "That was centuries ago," Leo said, stepping forward despite Luna's warning glance. "We've changed. We're trying to be better." Queen Selene's eyes narrowed. "You speak as if you have a right to be heard. You have no rights here, human." "None." She raised her hand. The sentinels activated their fields, the air crackling with energy. "You will surrender him," Selene commanded. "Now!" Luna's heart raced. She knew what surrender meant, the purification chambers. Erasure. No pain, they said. Just nothingness. "No," she said. The word hung in the air like a blade. Selene's expression hardened. "Then you are no longer my daughter. You are a traitor to Virelia. Both of you will be cast into the void." Before the sentinels could move, Zeph roared. a sound like thunder trapped in glass, and blasted the entrance with a controlled burst of plasma. Nira coiled around Leo, shielding him as the grotto shook. "Run," Luna whispered. She grabbed Leo's hand and they fled through the hidden tunnels, the dragons close behind. Alarms blared through the palace. Light lances sliced through the corridors, but Luna knew every turn, every shortcut. They reached the edge of the city where the land ended and the endless sky began. Below them, clouds swirled like liquid silver. Above, the stars watched in silence. "There's a place," Luna panted. "An old portal. My ancestors used it to travel between realms. It's unstable, but it might work." "Will it take me home?" Leo asked. "Maybe. It might take you anywhere. Or nowhere. But it's your only chance." Zeph and Nira landed beside them, their sides heaving. Luna placed a hand on each of their heads. "You don't have to come with me," she told them. "You can stay. You'll be safe." Zeph nuzzled her cheek. Nira pressed her forehead to Luna's. They would follow her to the end of all things. At the portal site, a ring of black stone humming with ancient power, Luna worked quickly, activating runes with her blood and starlight. The air grew thick, the ground trembling. The royal fleet appeared on the horizon, ships shaped like crescent blades, weapons glowing. "Go," Luna urged Leo. "Come with me," he pleaded. She shook her head. "My place is here, but I won't let them erase you." She kissed his forehead, a Varelian blessing for travelers. Then she pushed him through. Weeks passed on Earth like slow breaths after a storm. Leo Martinez returned to his life in Kansas, but nothing felt the same. The sky seemed smaller, the stars dimmer, the silence heavier. He worked on his uncle's farm by day, fixing fences and feeding cattle. But at night he sat on the porch, staring up at the heavens, clutching the violet dragon scale Luna had left him. It never cooled. It pulsed faintly like a heartbeat from another world. He tried to tell people what happened, just little things, careful hints, but they laughed or changed the subject. "Must have hit your head hard, kid," his uncle said kindly. So Leo stopped talking. He kept the truth locked inside where it burned like a secret sun. Meanwhile, on Virelia, Luna faced the High Council in the Crystal Hall. She stood alone, her dragons waiting outside by royal decree. Queen Selene sat on the throne of frozen light, her face unreadable. Around them, elders in flowing robes watched with cold eyes. "You broke the oldest law," one elder said. "You sheltered an outsider. You risked our purity." "Purity is not the same as peace," Luna replied. Her voice was calm, but her hands trembled. "He was not a threat, he was a person. Humans are chaos," another elder snapped. "They burn their worlds and flee. They do not belong among us." "Maybe not," Luna said. "But what if we are wrong? What if balance isn't about isolation but connection? What if we have been hiding while the universe calls?" A murmur rippled through the hall. No one had ever questioned the doctrine so openly. Queen Selene rose. "You are stripped of your title. Your chambers are sealed. Your access to the star archives is revoked. You will live in the outer rings among the wind weavers and sky farmers until you learn humility." Luna bowed her head. "I accept." But as she turned to leave, an old voice spoke from the back of the hall. "Wait." All eyes turned to Elder Kale, the oldest Varelian alive, his skin like cracked crystal, his eyes clouded with time. He rarely spoke. When he did, the stars themselves seemed to listen. "The girl speaks of a truth we have forgotten," he said slowly. "Long ago, before the Great Silence, our ancestors walked among other worlds. They traded songs with the star whales, shared dreams with the nebula people. We did not fear difference. We learned from it." Queen Selene stiffened. "Those times brought war, Kale. We chose peace through separation." "Peace without growth is sleep," Kale replied, "and sleep too long becomes death." The hall fell silent. In the end, Luna was not banished, but she was watched. She moved to a small home on the edge of the floating isles, where the wind never stopped singing. Zeph and Nira joined her, their presence a quiet defiance. She tended sky vines, studied cloud patterns, and listened to the stars. But her thoughts always drifted to Leo. Back on Earth, Leo couldn't shake the feeling that something was coming. The scale in his pocket grew warmer each night. One evening, as he walked through the cornfield, the air shimmered. A soft hum filled his ears. He turned, and there, hovering just above the stalks, was Nira. Her scales glowed silver blue in the moonlight. Her eyes held urgency. "Nyra," Leo whispered. She landed gently and lowered her head. Tied around her neck was a small crystal vial, glowing faintly. Leo opened it. Inside was a message written in liquid light. "They are coming for you." The Void Hunters crossed the rift. "Hide." His blood ran cold. He had read about the Void Hunters in Luna's notes, exiles from Viralia, who believed all outsiders should be erased, not just contained. They lived in the dark spaces between worlds, hunting those who broke the old laws. And now they knew about Earth. Leo ran home, grabbed his backpack, and stuffed it with food, water, and his father's old radio. He left a note for his uncle. "Gone to find answers. Don't worry." Nira carried him through the night sky, faster than any plane. They flew over mountains, deserts, oceans, until they reached a hidden cave in the Arizona desert, where Zeph waited, coiled around a strange device made of crystal and copper. Luna built this, Leo realized, touching the surface. It hummed under his fingers. A voice echoed from within, not sound, but thought. "Leo, you must activate the beacon. It will open a stable path between our worlds. But once it's on, they will find you faster." "I don't care," Leo said. "I'm coming back for you." He worked through the night, following Luna's mental instructions. The beacon required starlight, earth metal, and a drop of human blood. When he pricked his finger and let the blood fall onto the core, the device flared to life, casting blue shadows on the cave walls. Immediately, the air grew heavy. Far away, in the void between stars, something stirred. On Virilia, Luna felt it too. The rift trembled. The Void Hunters had sensed the beacon. Queen Selene summoned her again. This time, the Queen's anger was mixed with fear. "You have awakened them," she said. "They will tear through the veil. They will burn Earth to ash." "Then help me stop them," Luna said. "Not with walls, with bridges." To everyone's shock, Queen Selene agreed. She ordered the royal fleet to prepare, not for war, but for defense. Shields would be raised around the rift points. The Star Weavers began weaving barriers of light and sound, but it would not be enough. The Void Hunters were many, and they knew no mercy. Leo, meanwhile, knew he couldn't wait. With Zeph and Nyra at his side, he activated the beacon's final sequence, a jump gate. It would not take him to Virilia directly, but to the neutral zone, the place between worlds where dimensions thinned. The jump was violent. Colors twisted. Time stretched. Leo screamed as his body felt torn apart and stitched back together. When he opened his eyes, he floated in a sea of swirling mist, stars blinking in and out of existence. Around him, ghost ships drifted, remnants of lost travelers. And then he saw them. 3 Void Hunter vessels, black as dead stars, their hulls lined with jagged spikes. They moved like predators, silent and fast. Leo's heart pounded. He had no weapons, no armor, just 2 dragons and a hope. Zeph roared and charged. The battle was chaos. Zeph breathed plasma, slicing through one ship's wing. Nyra darted like a comet, her tail lashing out to disable engines. Leo clung to Zeph's back, shouting directions, dodging energy blasts. But they were outnumbered. Just as a hunter ship locked onto them, a new light appeared, a brilliant golden arc splitting the mist. From it emerged the royal fleet of Virilia, led by Queen Selene herself and her personal cruiser, the Dawn Singer. Energy beams crisscrossed the void. Shields flared and shattered. One hunter ship exploded in a silent bloom of fire. Another fled into the dark. The last one turned toward Leo. Luna appeared then, riding Nyra, her eyes blazing. She held a staff of pure starlight. "You will not touch him," she said. The hunter captain stepped onto the hull of his ship, a tall, scarred Virilian with eyes like cracked obsidian. "Traitor," he spat, "you have defiled our way." "I have expanded it," Luna replied. She raised the staff. Light erupted, not as a weapon, but as a song, a memory of every world Virelia had ever watched, every life they had silently honored. The hunter froze. For the first time, he saw not chaos, but beauty. His ship powered down. The battle was over. Queen Selene landed beside Luna. For a long moment, mother and daughter said nothing. Then Selene placed a hand on Luna's shoulder. "Perhaps," she said softly, "we have been blind." Back on Earth, weeks later, Leo stood on his porch again. But this time, the sky felt full of possibility. The rift was stable now. Virelia and Earth had begun to talk, slowly, carefully. Scientists exchanged data. Artists shared songs. Children drew pictures of dragons and sent them into the stars. And high above, in orbit, a small Virilian outpost shimmered into view, a bridge between worlds. Luna visited often. She walked the fields with Leo, her bare feet in the soil, her dragons chasing fireflies. She learned to drink coffee, and hated, to drive a pickup truck, badly, and to laugh at human jokes. One evening, as the sun set over the plains, Leo asked, "Do you think we'll ever really understand each other? Our worlds are so different." Luna took his hand. "Maybe not fully, but understanding isn't the point. Trust is." Zeph and Naira curled around them, their scales glowing with contentment. And somewhere, in the quiet space between heartbeats, the universe sighed in relief, because two broken pieces had finally found a way to fit. Months had passed since the rift between Earth and Virelia stabilized. What began as a secret rescue had grown into something no one expected, a fragile alliance. Humans called it the Star Bridge. Virelians called it the Song of Two Skies. Either way, it changed everything. Leo lived half on Earth, half in the new outpost orbiting above Kansas, a shimmering station built from Virelian crystal and human steel. He worked as a translator, not of words, but of meaning. When Earth scientists sent questions about cosmic harmony, Leo helped shape them into thoughts Virelians could feel. When Virelian elders shared star maps of forgotten realms, Leo turned their silent visions into data streams human minds could follow. Luna stayed close. She wore simple clothes now, jeans and soft shirts Leo had given her, and walked barefoot through the station's gardens, where earth grass grew beside Virelian moon blossoms. Zeph and Naira lounged on the observation deck, their scales reflecting the blue curve of Earth below. But peace was never permanent. Rumors began to spread, not from the void hunters, they had vanished into the deep dark, but from within. On Earth, some governments feared Virelian influence. "They're rewriting our minds with light," one general claimed on a news broadcast. "Next, they'll take our children." On Virelia, a group of traditionalists called the Pure Veil argued that contact with humans was weakening their people. "Our children dream of dirt and rain," an elder warned in the council hall. "They forget the silence of the stars." Tension grew like a slow fever. Then came the incident. A human research ship, the Horizon, drifted too close to a sealed Virelian archive world. It was an accident. The ship's navigation failed. But the Virelians saw it as invasion. They disabled the vessel and detained the crew. Earth demanded answers. Virelia refused to explain. Leo was called to the council chamber on Virelia. Luna stood beside him, her face calm, but her fingers trembled. "You must convince your people to stay away," Queen Selene said. "Some places are not meant to be seen." "They didn't mean to trespass," Leo argued. "Their systems failed. They were lost." "Lost is not an excuse," said Elder Torin, his voice sharp. "Curiosity killed the first age of contact. We will not repeat it." Luna stepped forward. "Then teach them. Don't punish them. Show them why that world is sacred." The room fell silent. Queen Selene studied her daughter, then Leo. Finally, she nodded. "Very well. You will both go. You will show the humans the truth. But if they speak of it to others, the bridge closes forever." The archive world was called Elira. It floated in a pocket of folded space hidden behind a veil of singing mist. When Leo and Luna arrived with the released crew, they found a world unlike any other. Elira had no cities, no machines, only trees made of solid memory. Each one held the thoughts, dreams, and final moments of every Varelian who had ever lived. To walk among them was to hear 1,000 lifetimes whispering at once. The human crew stood in awe, tears in their eyes. One scientist dropped to her knees. "It's beautiful. This is why we protect it," Luna said softly. Not out of fear, out of respect. The humans agreed to keep Elira secret. They signed a pact written in light and blood. The crisis passed, but the cracks remained. Back on Earth, Leo noticed changes. Military drones circled the orbiting station. News reports grew colder. His old friends looked at him like he was something strange, something not quite human anymore. One night, as he sat alone in his quarters, a message appeared on his screen. Not through official channels, but through a hidden frequency Luna had taught him. It was from a human scientist named Claire Reed, working at a black site lab in Nevada. "They're building a weapon," the message read. "Using stolen Varelian energy signatures. They call it the silence bomb. It doesn't kill. It erases connection. They plan to test it on the rift." Leo's blood turned to ice, he told Luna at once. They flew to Earth in Zeph and Nira, landing in the desert near the Nevada border. The lab was hidden beneath a fake solar farm, its walls lined with dampeners to block Varelian sensing. "We can't go in alone," Leo said. "We don't have to," Luna replied. She closed her eyes and sent a pulse through the bond. Not to her dragons, but to the Earth itself. The wind shifted, the sand stirred, and from the shadows figures emerged. They were the first humans who had quietly bonded with Varelian energy. Children who had touched dragon scales during cultural exchanges, elders who had meditated under the rift light. They weren't soldiers, but they were awake. Together they infiltrated the lab. Inside, the silence bomb sat in a glass chamber humming with stolen starlight. It looked like a black sphere wrapped in silver wire, pulsing like a dying heart. Claire met them in the control room. "They're activating it at dawn," she whispered. "They think it will sever the rift and make Earth safe again." "It won't just sever the rift," Luna said. "It will wound the fabric between all worlds. It could kill the dragons. It could silence the stars." They had to act fast. While Claire disabled the security systems, Leo and Luna approached the bomb. But as they reached the chamber, alarms blared. Soldiers poured in, weapons raised. "Step away from the device," a commander ordered. Leo stepped forward. "You don't understand what this will do." "We understand perfectly," the commander said. "We're saving humanity from fairy tales." Luna didn't argue. She raised her hands, not in surrender but in song. From the sky above, Zeph and Nira dove through the roof, shattering glass and steel. Their roars shook the walls. The soldiers fired, but the bullets turned to mist mid-air, Varelian magic bending reality. In the chaos, Luna placed her palms on the bomb. She didn't destroy it. She healed it. Pouring her own lifelight into the sphere, she unraveled the stolen energy, returning it to the cosmic stream. The bomb dimmed, then dissolved into harmless dust. The commander stared, stunned. What are you?" "Someone who chooses trust over fear," Luna said. News of the event leaked. Not the full truth, just enough. The public learned that a secret weapon had been stopped by an international task force. But those who knew. Queen Selene called an emergency council. This time she invited human representatives, scientists, artists, even a farmer from Kansas. "We cannot build a bridge if one side keeps digging moats," she said, her voice firm but not unkind. "From now on, the Star Bridge will be governed by both worlds. Equal voice, equal risk, equal hope." It was the beginning of something new. Leo and Luna stood on the observation deck of the station that night, watching Earth spin below. Zeph and Nira slept at their feet, their breathing slow and steady. "Do you think it will last?" Leo asked. "Nothing lasts forever," Luna said. "But that's not the point. The point is to try, to reach even when it hurts." He took her hand. Her skin was warm, real, alive. Down on Earth, children looked up and saw the station glowing like a new star. They didn't know its name, but they pointed and smiled. In Varelian schools, young ones drew pictures of blue planets and brown-eyed humans. They practiced Earth songs and learned to say hello in English. And in the quiet spaces between worlds, the rift hummed, not with fear, but with possibility. Weeks later, Leo and Luna stood before the High Council again. This time they made a request. "We want to travel," Luna said, "not as ambassadors, as explorers. There are other worlds out there, lost, lonely, waiting. Maybe we can help them find each other too." Queen Selene looked at her daughter, then at the human who had changed everything. She smiled, a rare, true smile. "Go," she said, "but come back. The bridge needs its keepers," so they left. Leo in a modified scout ship, powered by dragon fire and starlight. Luna beside him, her hair loose, her eyes bright. Zeph and Nyra curled in the cargo hold, already dreaming of distant skies. Their first stop was a water world where songs shaped the tides. Their second, a desert planet where time moved backward at dawn. They carried no weapons, only gifts, earth seeds, Virelian crystals, and stories. And wherever they went, they left behind a small beacon, a twin to the one Leo had built in Arizona, just in case others were listening. Back on Earth, Claire Reed started a school for cross-world understanding. In Virelia, Elder Kale began writing a new history, one that included humans not as intruders but as partners. The universe was vast, full of danger and wonder. But for the first time in a long time, two worlds were not facing it alone. And high above it all, a human and an elf woman flew side by side, their hands clasped, their dragons singing in the dark, proof that even the strangest hearts could beat as one. The scout ship skyward drifted through a sea of amber nebulae, its hull humming with quiet energy. Inside, Leo adjusted the star chart on the console while Luna sat cross-legged on the floor, her fingers tracing patterns in a bowl of liquid light. Zeph and Nyra slept in the rear chamber, their breathing slow, their dreams flickering like distant comets. They had been traveling for months now, visiting worlds that existed only in myth. Some welcomed them with open arms, others hid behind storms or silence. But every stop taught them something about connection, about fear, about the many shapes of home. Their latest signal came from a planet called Orus, a world wrapped in eternal twilight, where the ground was made of glass and the sky rained silver mist. The distress call was faint, broken but clear enough. "Help us remember." "It's not a language," Luna said, replaying the message. "It's a feeling, like someone is fading." They landed near a ring of black monoliths, tall and smooth, covered in symbols that shifted when you looked away. The air was cool still. No wind, no birds, no voices. As they stepped onto the glassy ground, their boots made no sound. Even Zeph's claws clicked softly as if the planet itself was holding its breath. Then they saw them. Figures stood in the distance, tall, slender beings with skin like polished obsidian and eyes that held no light. They moved slowly, aimlessly, like ghosts replaying old routines. One tried to plant a seed in the glass, though nothing could grow. Another spoke to a wall that wasn't there. "They've forgotten who they are," Luna whispered. A small being approached, smaller than the others, with cracks in its skin that glowed faintly blue. It held out a hand, not in threat but in question. "I am Kalen," it said, its voice like dry leaves. "We are the Orisians. Once we sang the stars into place. Now, we do not know what we are." Leo knelt. "What happened?" "The silence came," Kalen replied. "A wave of nothing. It washed over our world. It did not kill us. It made us forget. Our names, our songs, our children's faces." Luna understood at once. "The silence bomb." Leo's face fell. "But we destroyed it." "Not all of it," Luna said softly. "Energy like that doesn't vanish. It scatters, echoes. This is a ripple." They had not just stopped a weapon. They had only delayed its reach. Kalen led them to the heart of the city, a great dome of fractured crystal, where the last memory pool still shimmered. But the water was dark, the reflections broken. "If we lose this," Kalen said, "we will be gone forever. Not dead, just empty." Luna looked at Leo. He nodded. Together they stepped into the pool. The moment the water touched their skin, visions flooded their minds. Orisian history, joy, grief, love. But the memories were tangled, fading fast. Luna closed her eyes and began to sing, not in words but in thought song the way Virelians did. She wove her own memories into the stream. Her first flight with Zeph, Leo's laugh under Kansas stars, the taste of earth rain. Leo added his own, his mother's lullaby, the smell of hay at dawn, the feeling of holding Luna's hand for the first time. Zeph and Naira pressed their foreheads to the dome's edge, sending pulses of dragon light into the structure. Their energy was ancient, older than stars, born from the first breath of the universe. Slowly the pool brightened. The Arisians gathered around, their eyes flickering with returning light. One touched its chest and whispered, "My name is Elira." Another smiled and said, "I remember my son." Tears ran down Kalen's face. "You gave us back our souls." But Luna knew this was only the beginning. If the silence bomb's echo had reached Oris, it could be spreading to other worlds too. They stayed for 3 days, helping the Arisians rebuild their memory songs. Before they left, Kalen gave them a gift, a shard of living glass that showed the path of the silence wave. "Follow it," Kalen said. "Stop it before it reaches the cradle worlds." Back on the skyward, Luna studied the shard. It pointed toward the galactic core, a place even Virelians avoided. "The cradle worlds," she said, "are where life first began. If the silence reaches them, all memory in the universe could unravel." Leo set the course without hesitation. Their next stop was a relay station near the core, a crumbling outpost built by an ancient race long gone. It was here that they found the source of the echo. Not a weapon, but a wound. In the center of the station floated a tear in reality, a jagged rift pulsing with gray energy. It was feeding on memory itself, growing stronger with every forgotten name, every lost story. The bomb didn't just scatter, Luna realized. It tore a hole, and the hole is hungry. They couldn't close it alone. Luna sent a call through the star bridge, not just to Virelia and Earth, but to every world they had visited, to the water singers of Lyra, to the time weavers of Dune 9, to the crystal poets of Xanthot. One by one, answers came. Ships arrived from all corners of the known sky, not warships, story ships, vessels filled with songs, with art, with recorded laughter and lullabies. The Arisians sent memory crystals. The Lyrians sent tidal chants. Even the shy Dune 9 sent sand scrolls that hummed with ancestral voices. Leo stood on the bridge of the skyward, watching the fleet gather. "We're not fighting," he said. "We're remembering." Together they surrounded the rift. Luna stepped onto the hull, Zeph and Naira at her sides. She raised her hands and began the Great Remembering, a Virelian ritual so old it had not been used since the First Age. One by one, the other worlds joined in. The Lyrians sang in harmonic waves. The Arisians chanted names. The Dune 9 wove time loops of joy. Earth sent a simple message, broadcast from every radio tower, every phone, every heart that knew Leo's story. "You are not alone." The rift shuddered. Gray energy fought back, trying to swallow the light. But memory is stronger than silence. Love is louder than fear. Slowly, the tear began to heal. As the last thread of the rift sealed, a new star bloomed in the core, a white, gentle light that pulsed like a heartbeat. The cradle worlds were safe. Exhausted but triumphant, the fleet returned to their homes. But something had changed. They were no longer strangers. They were a chorus. Back on Earth, people looked up and saw the new star. They didn't know its name, but they felt its warmth. On Virelia, Queen Selene stood on the highest spire and watched the sky. For the first time, she did not feel the weight of isolation. She felt kinship. Weeks later, Leo and Luna returned to the Starbridge station. They were tired, thinner, older in the eyes, but they carried something new, a quiet certainty. They called a meeting with Earth and Virelian leaders. "We can't just wait for the next crisis," Leo said. "We need a council not of governments but of storytellers, healers, dreamers. People who protect memory, not borders." Luna added, "The universe isn't made of walls. It's made of bridges, and bridges need tending." The idea spread fast. Within months, the first gathering of the Memory Keepers was held on a neutral moon. Beings from 20 worlds sat in a circle, sharing stories under twin suns. A human child drew a picture of a dragon and gave it to an Arisian elder. A Virelian taught a Lyrian how to weave starlight into song. Zeph and Naira watched from a nearby ridge, their tails curled together. That night, Leo and Luna walked along the station's outer rim, hand in hand. "Do you ever miss just being normal?" Leo asked. Luna laughed softly. "I was never normal." "And neither were you." He smiled. "Guess we were made for this." Below them, Earth turned. Above, the new star shone. And all around, the universe breathed a sigh of relief. Not because the danger was gone, but because it was no longer faced alone. In the days that followed, Luna received a message from Queen Selene. It was short, but it held a lifetime of change. You have not just saved worlds, you have remade them. Come home when you can. Your room is waiting. But home, they both knew, was no longer just one place. It was wherever they stood together, and so they kept flying, not as heroes, but as friends of the stars, carrying light into the quiet places, one memory at a time. For in the end, the greatest power in the universe was not fire, or speed, or even magic. It was the simple, stubborn act of remembering and being remembered in return. The Memory Keepers' Council had been meeting for nearly a year when the new signal came. Not a distress call, not a song, but a single word repeated across every known frequency. Awake. It pulsed from the outer rim of the galaxy, beyond the cradle worlds, beyond even the oldest star charts. No one recognized the source. The Varelians had no record of it. The Arisians felt a strange pull in their bones. The Lyrians heard it in the tides. And on Earth, radios played it softly in the dead of night like a whisper from a dream. Leo and Luna were aboard the Skyward, orbiting a newly discovered moon, where trees grew crystals that hummed lullabies. They had been collecting samples for the Council's archive when the signal hit. Zeph lifted his head first, his scales flashing crimson. Nyra coiled tight, her eyes wide with something between fear and recognition. That's not just a message, Luna said, her fingers hovering over the console. It's a key. A key to what? Leo asked. I don't know. But it feels old. Older than Virelia. Older than memory. They followed the signal. It led them to a dead zone, a patch of space where stars refused to shine, where comms failed, and time itself seemed to stutter. The Skyward's engines groaned as they crossed the threshold. Outside, the void was not empty. It was full of silence so deep it hurt. Then they saw it. Floating in the center of the darkness was a sphere, smooth, black, and impossibly large. It had no surface features, no lights, no doors. But as they drew closer, images flickered across its skin. Galaxies forming, civilizations rising and falling, dragons soaring through nebulae, humans planting seeds in red soil. It's watching us, Leo whispered. Luna reached out with her mind, not with fear, but with curiosity. Who are you? The sphere responded, not with words, but with a flood of feeling. Loneliness, waiting, hope. And then, a name, the first dreamer. According to ancient Varelian myth, the first dreamer was not a being, but the universe's first thought, the moment chaos became conscious. It had slept for eons, dreaming the cosmos into existence, but something had disturbed its rest. The silence bomb, Luna realized. It didn't just tear reality. It woke something that was never meant to wake. The sphere began to open, not with sound, but with light, soft, golden, warm. From within, a path unfolded made of stardust and memory. It led inward toward a core that pulsed like a heart. We have to go in, Luna said. Are you sure? Leo asked. It didn't call everyone. It called us. Because we remember. Because we care. Zeph and Nyra nudged them forward, their minds calm, their loyalty absolute. Inside, the sphere was not a ship or a machine. It was a mind. Corridors shifted with thought. Walls showed scenes from countless worlds. They walked past a vision of Earth's first sunrise, then Virelia's birth from a dying star, then a world of glass oceans where beings of light danced in eternal spring. Finally, they reached the center. There, floating in a pool of liquid time, was a figure neither human nor Virelian, but something in between. Tall, gentle, with eyes like twin galaxies. It smiled. You came, it said, not with sound, but with understanding. Who are you? Leo asked. I am what the universe dreamed before it knew its name. I sleep so it may grow, but your world's pain. It echoed too loud. Luna stepped forward. We didn't mean to wake you. You did not wake me with pain. You woke me with care. When you healed Horus, when you sang to the rift, when you chose trust over fear, you sent ripples of light into the deep dark. And I felt them. The first dreamer extended a hand. In its palm floated a seed, small, glowing, made of pure potential. This is a new beginning. A world not yet born. It needs guardians. Not rulers. Not owners. Guardians who remember what it means to be small, to be lost, to be loved. Leo and Luna looked at each other. Us. Leo asked. You have walked between worlds and carried no weapons. You have listened when others shouted. You have loved across the void. Who else could tend a dream? Luna took the seed. It warmed in her hands, humming with unborn stars. What do we do with it? She asked. Plant it where hope is needed most. They returned to the skyward, the seed resting in a cradle of dragon scale and earthwood. The sphere closed behind them, fading back into the dark. The dead zone brightened. New stars sparked to life. Back at the Starbridge station, they called the council. All the memory keepers gathered. Orisians, Lyrians, Dune 9 weavers, human scientists, Varelian elders. Even Queen Selene came, her robes shimmering with quiet pride. Luna held up the seed. This is a gift, a new world, but it cannot grow in fear. It needs a home built on trust. After hours of discussion, they chose a place, a barren planet in a quiet system, once scarred by war, but now silent. It had water beneath its crust, air in its caves, and a sky wide enough for dreams. They called it Ilara, the place of second chances. Construction began not with machines, but with stories. Orisians sang the ground into softness. Lyrians coaxed rivers from stone. Humans planted the first trees, oak, willow, and olive. Varelians wove light into the atmosphere so the nights would never be too dark. Zeph and Naira circled the planet daily, their breath seeding the clouds with stardust. Leo and Luna built a small home on a hill, its walls made of earth clay and Varelian crystal. Months passed. Grass grew. Birds came. Children from many worlds played in the fields, their laughter mixing languages into something new. One evening, as the twin suns set over Ilara, Luna sat on the porch with Leo. The seed had sprouted, a single silver tree with leaves that chimed in the wind. Do you think it will be enough? Leo asked. Enough for what? She replied. To fix everything. The wars, the fear, the forgetting. Luna leaned her head on his shoulder. We're not here to fix everything. We're here to show that something else is possible. Below them, a group of children gathered under the tree. A human girl held hands with an Orisian boy. A Lyrian child taught a Varelian how to braid grass. They didn't need translators. They understood each other in the way all young hearts do, with kindness. Queen Selene visited often now. She walked the gardens, spoke with farmers, and sometimes sat with Luna in silence. One day she said, You did not just save worlds, you gave us a reason to believe in them again. Even the pure veil had changed. Some of their youngest members now studied earth music and Orisian memory arts. The old walls were crumbling, not from force, but from wonder. But peace, as always, was tested. A rogue faction from a distant system, ones who had refused the council, sent a ship to Ilara. They came not to destroy, but to take. This world is too perfect, their leader said. It must be controlled. They landed at the edge of the silver tree grove, armed with disruptors that could unravel thought. Leo and Luna met them unarmed. You don't belong here, the leader said. Neither did we once, Luna replied, but we were welcomed. And now we welcome you. The faction hesitated. They expected weapons. Instead, they found a table set with food, bread from Earth, fruit from Varelia, water from Lyra. One young soldier lowered his weapon. My world has no trees, he whispered. That night they stayed. They listened to stories. They touched the silver leaves. And by dawn, they asked to join the gardeners. News spread. More outcasts came. More broken hearts sought healing. Ilara became not just a world, but a promise. Years passed. Leo's hair grew streaked with gray. Luna's steps slowed, though her eyes still shone with starlight. Zeph and Naira, ageless as ever, curled around their home like living guardians. The Memory Keepers' Council grew. New members came from worlds no one had known existed. They shared songs, cures, dreams. Wars did not vanish overnight, but fewer children died in silence. Fewer stars went dark. On Luna's 100th Earth year, the council held a celebration on Ilara. Beings from 1,000 worlds gathered under the silver trees. They did not speak of politics or power. They spoke of a human boy who crossed the void, and an elf woman who chose to believe in him. That night, as the twin moons rose, Luna and Leo walked to the edge of the hill. Do you ever miss Kansas? She asked. Sometimes, he said. But I found something better. I found you, she smiled. And I found a human who taught me that being different isn't weakness. It's wonder. Above them, the sky bloomed with lights, not ships, but lanterns sent from every world in the council, each carrying a wish, a name, a memory. And in the quiet, the universe dreamed again, not of chaos, but of connection. For as long as someone remembered to care, the light would never go out.